Okay, so the first question I have for you today is, what is a simple life? So the song really begs the question, what is a simple life? And I have another question for you, which is, how many people here live what they would consider to be a simple life? Raise your hand if you think you live a simple life. Okay, good, okay. Yeah, keep them up. So stand up 1 second, would you?
Sure.
Come a little closer.
Come a little.
So what is a simple life?
A simple life is asking for peace and health every day and living my best.
Do y'all like that? Well, wait. So you're asking for it, then what happens?
And then I receive, and I be conscious. And
I love that. I be conscious.
I be conscious. I look. Oh, I be conscious. No, and I look and actively monitor thoughts that get in the way of that. And I notice them, and I wave at them, and then I do my best to be present.
I love that.
To me, simple. I'm a corporate refugee. I left the rat race of Massachusetts, came here to the desert, the mountains, being here. This is a simple life. I love the desert.
That is amazing. Good answer. Well, I don't have to give my talk now. That was my talk. So who else had their hand up? A simple life. Who's living a simple life? Who else is living a simple life? Now your hands are down because you know I'm going to ask you to tell me. None of you now are living a simple. David, what is a simple life to you? Stand up so they can all see your beautiful face.
I did.
So what is a simple life?
A simple life is very similar. It's getting my fat, bloated self out of the way.
Are you crying?
Feeling like I might, yeah.
That's great.
No, it's really kind of trying to get in the flow of life without getting in the way of it.
That is a brilliant sentence. You heard what he said? It's getting in the flow of life without getting in the way of it. I love that. So since you sang it, Emily, stand up for a second. So for you, turn this way so they can all see your face. Yeah. So what is a simple life to you? You just sang this whole song. What is a simple life?
I guess the goal is to appreciate everything around you in the present moment without worrying about the past or the future. The goal, right? Harder than it sounds.
That was so beautiful. Okay, that's the answer.
You want to sing?
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to start there because I think it's important for us to know what it is that a simple life is before we even start talking about it. For you each to know what it means to you, and even whether or not you would like to live one. I think there are a lot of people that like their complicated, crazy lives, or at least they're so used to it they don't know any other choice. But I'm going to suggest one today. So, William, give me those lyrics. So these are what they sang. Don't need no TV. I don't need no phone. Don't need, that's a no speedy car to get me home. Don't need no nothing. All I need is time for a simple life. I want you to look at those last two lines. All I need is the time to have a simple life. So I want you to just check your heart today and check your mind and see if somewhere in your being you have told yourself you don't have the time to live what these people all just talked about. And if you hear that, and I've heard it many times, I've said it myself, I wish I had time to do all the things that would make my life simple and easy. I wish I had time to go to the beach. I wish I had time, well, not here, obviously. I wish I had time to go out to the desert. I wish I had time to just relax. Well, my question then becomes, if you don't, what are you putting in the way? What is it that you are doing that's causing you to not have the time to live a simple life? And those are really, really important questions. So, sometimes it just feels like there is no time and that there's too much in the way. And that's what I want you to look at today. What is the too much that's in the way? Because our job is to simplify our lives. For me, certainly in the 3rd chapter of my life, it is all about simplifying it. And I know you may think that sounds crazy for someone who just decided to be the spiritual director of 2 centers simultaneously, that might not be the simplest choice, but in fact it is. It gives me 2 opportunities to stay on principle. It means I have to spend most of my time really focused on what it is to be in divine principle. So give me the next slide, William. So Hans Hofmann, German artist, wrote this: "The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak." How much unnecessary fills your life? How much of what fills your life is unnecessary? And then I want to ask you, what is it? What is that unnecessary stuff that fills your life? Now, I'm not talking about your job. I'm not talking about your husband or your wife. I'm not talking about your friends, any of that stuff. I'm talking about what is the unnecessary garbage that shows up in your mind. What shows up there? Because whatever shows up there is coming from some belief that drags it and pushes it forward. So this next slide gives you the unnecessary. Now, I want you to know that when I looked for the slide to put with this list, I had all these really hideous slides that matched this list, but I decided it was just too negative for me. So I want you to see that beautiful, simple, serene picture. And now let's look at the things that sometimes get in the way of it. Worry. How many people here are worriers? I love that your hand went up so fast. So it doesn't seem like there are a lot of worriers, or there are a lot of people hiding. So, worry. What good is worrying? I grew up in an Irish Catholic family, and my grandmother's motto in life was, if you're not worrying about it, you're doing nothing about it. That worrying was doing something. In fact, worrying is not doing a thing about what you're worrying about. Worrying is expanding whatever it is you're worrying about. So if you're worrying about finances, all your worry is making your finances worse. If you're worried about your health, all that worry is making your health worse. So worry is one of those unnecessary things we have to get out of the way. Second one, uncertainty. How many people here are really not happy when things are a little unpredictable? This is a very evolved group. I know a lot of people who they have a very hard time being uncertain. But I like to think that being uncertain is actually a way of life, because if you were certain, you were probably wrong. Think about it. Because if you're certain, you've already made up your mind, but mind is inexhaustible. And there's so much more in this world to get, to live, to understand. And if I say I'm certain, I've just closed it off. Uncertainty really does nothing other than make you unbalanced. Certainty doesn't mean you are certain about anything in particular. Certainty means that you are certain that the universe, the world, is unfolding perfectly at all times. So even though I don't know where the house is I'm going to buy in the desert, because I have tried 3 times and was outbid every time. I also found out I was glad I was outbid, because this is a horrible time to buy a house in the desert, because you're going to pay a lot more than the house will be worth when the market finally settles down. So, even though uncertainty about where I'm going to live was annoying, I realized, and I knew in the depths of my being, it was unfolding perfectly. And my perfect house is already in the desert, because I'm not building one. So it's already here. It's just not ready for me yet. So uncertainty can waste so much time. That is part of the unnecessary you don't need in your life. Regret. Everybody take a deep breath. Honestly, how many people here have regrets? Thank you. And the rest of you, see you in counseling. Regrets. So, I gotta be honest, I have regrets. But I work very hard to turn those regrets into certain understandings. I mean, I have acting regrets. I have roles. I should have played Pippin. while I was young enough to play Pippin. I could probably do it out here. No, I just mean I could pull it off. Boy, you people turn fast. Yeah. So I do have some regrets about my career, about things How many of you could have done something in your life better? Every hand should go up, right? We all could have done something better. But you know what? No, you couldn't, Annie. You couldn't have done it better because you did it the best you could when you did it. That is not just la-la land stuff. That is the truth. You were who you were when you did what you did, therefore you did what you did because you are who you are. And I'll listen to that later to write it down. But it's true. It's true. Regrets, it's unnecessary. It is a waste of time. There's nothing you can do about it other than pull it up, roots and all, and make sense out of it. And then what do? Throw it the hell away. Be done with it so that you can do what is necessary. Anxiety. How many people have anxiety? Your hand's going up for everyone. I love it. And you're the one that knew what simple life was. So anxiety. So if you are anxious, now, this is the truth. If you are anxious because you are incorrect. Whatever you're anxious about, you don't have the full story on. Because if you are anxious, you don't know the divine truth, that life is unfolding perfectly, in the perfect time, in the perfect way, with the perfect people, with the perfect results. That's the truth. So what am I anxious about? I'm anxious because I don't know, number 3, love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. That's the only thing anxiety does. Remind me. If I'm anxious, okay, I'm not remembering who I truly am. And then the last one, fear of change. This doesn't seem to be a problem in this community, fear of change. But there is. People who has a hard time with change? Yeah, see, hardly anybody. But people have a hard time with change. But that's again, why are we afraid of change? Why do we spend so much time holding on to who we thought we were? Did we really think we were that great? I'll wait for you to catch up. No, because we're afraid. We're afraid to let go of things. And again, it's because we're afraid of change because uncertainty. We don't know what's coming. If I change, what will I be? So now let's look at the necessary things in life. Love, fun, passion, creativity, and adventure. Here's the problem, though. You don't get any of these. Could you go back one slide? If you are there. Every time you pick up one of these, you've cut off the whole list that's coming next. Because every one of these takes your full attention, doesn't it? When you're worried, aren't you like fully worried? It's like this energetic field comes around you and you're like, who are you? I'm worried. Think about it. I mean, you don't even have to say it. We're like, we can see that. Yeah. So every time you go to one of these, next slide, William, you lose out on this. How many people want more love in their life? How many people want more fun in their life? How many people want more passion in their life? How many people want more creativity in their life? Do you not want any of this? No. I'm just laughing. How many people I know you want this. How many people want more adventure in their life? Right? So there's the question. If you want all of this, what are you willing to do to have all of this? So, the title of my talk today is Simply Living. Simply living. Do you know how much energy it takes for you to simply live life? None. It takes you no energy. It takes no energy away from you to simply live your life. When you remember who you are, life just lives you. It's actually what you said, David. When you are willing to move in with that rolling river God and allow the stream of life to live you, that's simply living life because it lives you. Your job is to get all of those unnecessary things out of the way so that it can simply live you. On the quantum field, life is always unfolding. It is always bubbling up. Energy is always expanding. It is always growing. Your mind is always evolving into the next and the next and the next. The only time your mind seems to not be evolving is when you put all of those unnecessary things in the way of it. It's still evolving. You're just not receiving it. You're not living. You're not simply living. You're putting things in front of it. So, living is being. Just say that to yourself. Living is being. It's just being. Conversely, we spend most of our time trying to do things. Doing. How many doers do we have here? Right? We just do so much. There's so much to do in life. I got to do this. How many people had like charts when they were growing up? Like by 20, I want to be here. By 25, I want to be here. By 30, I want to be here. In the beginning, I met them all. I was like, by 25, I want to star in a Broadway show. At 25, on the day of my 25th birthday, is the day I got a starring role on Broadway. Talk about cutting it close. I was like, by 25, and I was like, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening. On my 25th birthday, my agent called and said, you got a show. I don't want to say it because then you'll all win the bet, which show that was, but it had something to do with snapping. But it literally was, and I'm not making this up. On my 25th birthday, I got that show. Because I made these things, and I was about being a doer. I didn't even enjoy being in that show for a year. It was really treacherous. And I remember thinking to myself, something's wrong because I know I enjoy this, but somehow I'm not really enjoying it until I heard Eric Butterworth speak one day. And when I heard him speak at Unity of New York, my life changed. Everything changed. Of course, Paul Tenaglia will tell you, Unity of New York was called Our Lady of Musical Theater because there were thousands of Broadway actors going to church with Eric Butterworth on Sunday. And it just made great sense. It was like, do you want to spend your whole life doing? Or do you want to be the person you were meant to be? That's simply living. Being the person you're meant to be. Not getting so crazed out about what you have to do in life. We spend so much time trying to do. The irony is, when we learn how to be, we end up doing more. Just think about that for a second. When we learn how to just be, we end up doing more. I remember when I went to Unity of New York, and I really was burning out. I was working constantly. I mean, I successfully, yes, I would get shows when I'd go out for them, and I'd work constantly, but I wasn't happy. And I remember saying to a therapist I was seeing, I said, I think I need to take a whole year off from my career and see what happens. And he was like, well, if you can afford to do that. I went, I can't, but I'm going to take the whole year off. I'll do temp work or something, but I'm going to take a year off. And I took a year off just to be. And I studied with Eric Butterworth, and I just took a year off. Here's what happened. I finished that year. I think I did 9 months, to be honest. I got to 9 months, and my agent said, you need to start working. And so I had the biggest following year ever. Show after show after show. Amazing parts. Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar, Candide and Candide, Paul in Carnival, all these amazing parts. And all of a sudden, I'm getting teary-eyed. I loved doing it. I was no longer doing it to be a star, to be successful. I was doing it because it's who I was meant to be. And there's a huge difference between doing what you think you have to do and doing what you are meant to be. And that's what simply living is all about. Giving yourself the opportunity to be, and in so being, you get to do. So this next quote by Ernest Holmes, I just would love for you to read it. We have within us, he says, a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer world. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us safe, satisfied and at peace, healed and prosperous. In a new light, in a new life, all the power of the universe is within you. You don't know this when you're so busy doing. You're too busy doing. You don't know who you are. But when you first go to an Ernest Holmes Center, whatever it is, wherever it is, whoever's running it, and you start reading what this man wrote, and you believe it, life changes. It's like, wait, I'm the power? What does he say? I am peace, healed, prosperous. I am, all the power of the universe is within me. Then what the heck am I so worried about? Why am I anxious? Why do I think this is life and death, this audition? No, it all changes. Or as Joe Dispenza says, to be empowered, to be free, to be unlimited, to be creative, to be genius is to be divine. That is who you are. Simply living means you remember who you are to such an extent that you live from that. And I love what he says this. Once you feel this, once you really feel that the entire universe is inside of me, once you really get it, how many of you have ever had that feeling where you really got it, that you are the entire universe bubbling up? Okay, if you haven't ever felt that, just keep saying it to yourself. Keep knowing it, because I love what he says here. Once you feel this way, memorize this feeling. Memorize it. It's who you really are. So I appreciate the definitions we got of simple life. What is a simple life? Take the next step and go to simply living. In order for you to live from that place of knowing who you are so concretely that everything unfolds in the exact way you expect it to, and even if it doesn't, you realize it's the best. You have to memorize this stuff. You have to indelibly let it land in your head in such a way, in your heart in such a way that you no longer question yourself. You no longer doubt. You no longer have regrets because you understand them. You are no longer worried or anxious. You are living your life from a position of knowing who you are. Simply living, it means get out of the way, allow life to roll you into this life you were meant to have. Whether you are moving to New York to start your career or settling down in Palm Desert to relax into the last chapter of my life, or anywhere in between, life is already living you. So just get out of the way, let it happen, and then when you start to feel it, memorize that feeling and live from it. Namaste.